Well, hello, thank you for joining us today. I have a really exciting announcement to make with you all today, but first let me say how delighted I am that our full slate of candidates from the Hamilton area are here with me today for this announcement, and that we're here at Neighbor to Neighbor, and we've just had the opportunity to tour this food bank by Charlotte. Thank you very much for the tour. She let me know that 1,700 families are being served, households, which means that about 5,000 people use this food bank. We know that food insecurity is a very important issue, with over 1 million people using food banks across the province. I know while I was mayor of the city of Mississauga, I had to help them fundraise over $2 million a year to help them service the people that came through the food bank. So in my view, this election is really about priorities and helping the most vulnerable in our community, like the people who come to the Neighbor to Neighbor food bank. I know with Doug Ford, it's about his rich buddies and friends, people like Elon Musk, since he won't rip up that contract permanently, catering to rich buddies. For us, it's the people in our community who need us, who are the most vulnerable. So I made some commitments, even during my leadership race, that I want to honor today because they're the right thing to do for people in our community who aren't being serviced as they should be. As you well know, our key priority is to provide everyone with a family doctor within the first 4 years. That is our key healthcare related commitment. This announcement will work hand in hand with that one. And we are very pleased today to announce to you all that the Liberal Party of Ontario will double the ODSP for all those across our province who are using it. And since I note, thank you. And I think it does speak to a health measure as well. And since I know you will ask, it will be costed and part of the platform when we release it. So we are all here to answer your questions, myself, any of the questions Ontario-wide. If there are specific local questions, we have some fabulous candidates here with us, and they can answer as well. Do we have a lineup at the microphone?
I can start.
Welcome. Thanks for joining. Didn't we just see each other in Ottawa?
I think so. Is this thing on? Oh, it is. Okay.
Or you have to slouch.
Yeah, no, it's my curse and blessing. I'm Charlie of the Trillium. On this promise, Bonnie, I am just wondering if you would do anything to do with the income limits that the PCs did raise but are still in place at $1,000 a month, and if you'll be making any similar promises to do with the Ontario Works payment as well.
So currently, the commitment is to double the amount that people on ODSP will be receiving. With respect to OW, I really feel that that money, since it's a supplement to the EI, should come from the federal government and top up the EI.
Okay. And I understand that, you know, you're still short some candidates, so I'm just wondering if you can confirm.
Very few.
Well, great. So I'm just wondering if you can confirm that you will have a full slate, if that is the case, and if, you know, given the picture of things and sort of the uphill battle that you guys are fighting and you yourself are fighting in your own riding, if we should expect any sort of, you know, focusing of resources in any specific parts of the provinces from the Liberals.
That's a fully loaded question. So number one, yes, we will have a full slate of candidates where we might even be able to announce that later today. We're just confirming with the last couple of people. In addition, as you well know, we're fully funded. And of course, if there is a newcomer and we needed to move around resources, we have the ability to do that too. Will we be focusing on strategic ridings? We're going to be focusing on them all, because I think all of them are winnable.
Hi, I'm Aura Carreño from CBC Hamilton.
Welcome.
I wanted to ask, the NDP have made a promise to remove tolls on Highway 407. Would a liberal government do anything with the highway?
You know, while I believe in investing in public infrastructure and public transit, and I certainly will look at what we will do with the 407 with respect to truck-only lanes, my priority is ensuring that you have access to a family doctor within 4 years, and to reduce the stress and toll on our hospitals. Because look at here in Hamilton, 135,000 people are without a family doctor. In the local hospitals, there is a 20-hour wait time to be seen in a hospital. So this is my key priority to the people of Ontario, to ensure that everyone has access to family health care.
Thank you. And we haven't heard of any unions endorsing your party. Have you been able to secure any union endorsements, and how important is union support in Ontario and here in Hamilton?
You know, at the end of the day, actually I haven't checked, to be honest, but at the end of the day, the people will decide, and the people will vote for us. They won't be told what to do or who to vote for, no matter what organization or group that they're a part of. Thank you.
Hey, Bonnie.
Hi.
Liam Casey with the Canadian Press.
Hi, Liam.
On the ODSP announcement, will this be pegged to inflation, and will this be like a permanent thing going forward? Just looking for more details on this.
Yes, both. Pegged to inflation, it will be permanent. The important distinction, though, is that it will be phased over a 2-year period. We won't try and do it all in 1 year. It'll be completed over 2 years.
Like a doubling?
Yeah, we'll start with, start with 50% of it, and then they do the doubling the next year.
The NDP just announced this morning that they want to build 60,000 supportive units to get people out of encampments and out of shelters. Done a lot of work on the shelter system, the current shelter system, which a lot of people are just outright rejecting. Since we're talking about affordability today, what do you think of that plan for the NDP, and are you thinking of something similar to help out these 70 to 80,000 people that are homeless in Ontario right now?
Yeah. So I don't make comments on the other parties and their platforms, because we know that my priority, of course, is to ensure that you have a family doctor within the next 4 years. However, the issue that you raise, homelessness, mental health and addictions, is a critical issue. And all cities, towns, municipalities are facing it. As you say, there are 70 to 80,000 people who are homeless. So yes, we need to build more housing. It has to be affordable housing. And it needs to be supportive housing for those individuals who are living on the streets, some of them facing some vast mental health challenges, some addiction issues. They need to get the treatment they need to get get through their addiction and into recovery. You know, this is something I've faced firsthand. I don't mind sharing with you that my biological dad had addiction issues, and he left my mom and me. And at the end of his life, his social workers called me to come and pay my respects to him in his final days, and he was in the Seton House. And I'm so relieved that places like that do exist and that can provide the care and support to people like my dad. So yeah, we need a lot more of that, right across Ontario, and the heart hubs that are being proposed are a drop in the bucket for what the need is.
Hi, Bonnie. Kelly Battelle, CHCH News. Going off of that question, Hamiltonians are really concerned about encampments, as are many municipalities across Ontario. We've heard Mayor Andrea Horwath say multiple times that there needs to be more of supports and funding from the other 2 levels of government to tackle encampments.
Yes.
If elected, what would you do specifically towards encampments?
I plan to have that conversation with Mayor Horwath this afternoon to learn more about what her specific needs are. But every small town, every community, not just large cities, are seeing tents and encampments. And let me tell you that I don't remember seeing them 8 years ago, or 9 years ago, or 10 years ago. This is a failure of Doug Ford's Ontario, that we see encampments across the province and people living in tents. And there's a group of mayors along with this premier that wants to scoop these people up and move them and put them where, I ask you? because we need a plan. They need to be housed in the supportive housing that I described. They need to get into treatment programs. I don't know what their plan is, but I do know it's been left on the shoulders of the mayors of the small towns, the cities, the municipalities to cope with this on their own. And I know because I was chair of big city mayors, and we would sit around the table and we would have this discussion and learn about each other's best practices and what worked in our municipality. And believe me, this was just another form of downloading to put this on the taxpayer, the property taxpayer base. This needs to be a coordinated plan, a coordinated strategy, properly funded by the province. It's the only way it's going to work. You can't, of course we don't want to see encampments, and of course we don't want them near children's schools, playgrounds, parks. Of course not. But if we move them, we need to have a plan, because where are we going to put them? If we tell them they can't be here in this park, they'll only find somewhere else to put up their tents. So it is not the solution. We need to get busy building supportive housing with wraparound services to ensure that they can get the treatment that they need. And believe me, I feel this in my heart, how critical an issue this is. It has to be addressed.
Regional transit. So a couple weeks ago, the McMaster Student Union had their presidential debate, and I found quite fascinating was the students were talking about bus connectivity. And to Peel region, up to Waterloo region, and then west towards Middlesex. What is your position on transit connectivity from, I'll use McMaster University as the vocal point, but in the West GTA?
Oh, no, it's an excellent question. And of course, when I was mayor of the city of Mississauga, we had UTM, University of Toronto Mississauga campus. And you know, often these youth, they take programs at one university and then supplement it at a college, Sheridan College, elsewhere. Or they live in one community and then they go to school in another one. So they need proper access. You know, we were building express routes to go right to the university in Mississauga, and they need to know that there's that connectivity. They rely on it. So as Liberals, we all believe in public transit, in investing in public transit and getting cars off the road, also expanding our GO train service. Let's make it all day two-way, and even from Niagara, for goodness sakes, here, London, Kitchener. I had the same conversation in Kitchener, Milton line. So that's what we need to do, invest in public transit.
So you mentioned the London train service, so I want to get a little bit more specific on that.
Sure.
What do you envision for London train service? Because of course the pilot began and it was...
And it was cancelled by the Ford government.
Yeah, but I can't remember how many hours it was between Toronto and London. Like, what does GO service to London look like under your government?
We need better connectivity. We need to ensure people need to get to where they need to go. So it has to be regular service. If people are going to use public transit, it has to be affordable, it has to be reliable, and it has to be accessible, affordable. So there has to be the ability to use the same fare pass across the system, so that the system is integrated, that there's better connectivity, and that the fee that is paid, the fare, can be used right across the system. Like we've seen it south of the border, we've seen it in Europe, where there are always zone rides, right? So you go this distance, you pay one rate, you go a further distance, so it's all fully integrated. That's my dream, that's my vision, to have a fully integrated system.
Hi, Matthew from the Hamilton Spectator. Thanks
Hi,
for
Matthew.
taking the time. Former Liberal governments have studied the idea of expanding some of our local highway systems, widening them, you know, the Highway 403 or the QEW.
Highway 7 and,
Yeah, we see some of those ideas being recycled by other parties again today. How do you feel about that idea now? Expansion of the QEW, for example.
And how far would we extend it? I don't know. I'm not familiar with the platforms of other parties. You know, I'm just telling you that I would believe in investing in public transit. Are there some roads that need to be expanded? I'm looking at the ones, particularly in Northern Ontario, that the roads need twinning, you know, 11, 17, 69, et cetera. So those roads definitely need to be addressed. You know, I think as an alternative to the 413, We could expand the 427 and put truck-only routes on the 407, right? This is an option as well. But my priority is always going to be public transit and investing in public transit. And I know here in Hamilton, you are committed to the LRT. We need to get that built as well. I know there was some dissension initially, but I think everyone's rallied around the plan now.
And since you brought that up, does the party have a position on how transit is funded in the province going forward? And I look at the promise to upload Ottawa's recent LRT, for example.
Operating costs, yes. And it's also the capital and the operating costs long term, because often municipalities get saddled with the operating, and then you see what's happened in Toronto and in Ottawa, and anyone riding or operating rather a large transit service. We see that. So, you know, there have been different models for the capital, whether it's 3P or in my case, because when I was mayor, we had a very strong business case and it's being funded by the province, but yet there have been cutbacks, and, you know, 3P is an option. But certainly, we want to ensure that they're properly funded to build, but then to operate. So I have to look at that. We've made that commitment in Toronto and in Ottawa to look at uploading those costs. It's only right. What happens is a large financial burden on the municipality as a result. Anyone running a large transit service ends up, you know, in a bit of debt. So particularly during COVID, they're still coming out. Thank you.
Amazing. That now concludes our press conference. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming.